In this video, we are going to be looking at condition-controlled loops, and this follows on from part 1 where we looked at count-controlled loops. So just to remind you what the constructs of an algorithm are, or the constructs of programming, there are three constructs, and these three constructs are sequence, the order in which instructions are executed. We've got selection, where our programmer or our program can make a decision based on certain conditions being met and what path to take. And then finally we have iteration, where we repeat a step. So remember that all algorithms have sequence, and most complex algorithms and programs do have selection and iteration as well. So condition controlled loops are a form of iteration. And iteration, or an iteration statement, is a statement in a program which makes it repeat a set of instructions. So iteration is when we want to repeat something. Iteration is when we want to repeat something. And when we would like to repeat an instruction while something is happening, we can use a condition controlled loop. While you do not know what iteration is, repeat this definition. And we can use a while loop, which is a type of condition controlled iteration statement. So while a condition is true, repeat the block of code. So a condition, which I keep talking about in condition controlled loops, is a statement in a program that can either be true or false. And it usually compares two values. And in order for us to compare two values in a program or an algorithm, we're going to be using conditional operators. So remember these basic conditional operators where we have equal to, not equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. And we have these symbols that we usually represent them with. So to look at an example of a condition, we have two variables here, which are assigned the values 8. So target is assigned the value 8. That value 8 is assigned to the word or the variable target, and this value 0 is assigned to the variable guess. And then we're comparing these two variables. And we're asking the question, is guess not equal to target? So when we look at a condition, we can almost look at that condition as a question. And the answer to this question is either true or false. And in this case, target is not equal to guess. And our statement says, is target not equal to guess? So this is true because target is not equal to guess. Okay? And we're going to be looking at this in a little bit more detail within our while loops. So let's take a look at our while loop. And I've just abstracted out all the different instructions and what the conditions could be so we can just focus on what is important. So let's take a look at while. So the while initiates a condition controlled loop. So while initiates a condition controlled loop. Our condition, so this is a condition, it's a question that is either true or false. The condition is checked and must be true for the loop to run. So while this condition is true, we're going to repeat our instructions. And then we can see that the instructions or block of code to be repeated are indented. The instructions or block of code to be repeated are indented. Everything that we want to be repeated needs to be indented. And then finally, this is just pseudocode. So I'm letting the reader know that the loop has completed one cycle. And once we complete this cycle, we go back to the beginning and we check our condition. And we check, is our condition true? If it's true, then we're going to repeat. Otherwise, we leave the loop. So let's take a look at an example of actual Python code. So in this example, we have a little bit more information, and I'm going to run you through all of it. So we have a couple of variables, and we've used these in the condition, so we need to assign values to them. Otherwise, when we get to our condition, our program's not going to know what we're talking to. So we've assigned the value 8 to our variable guess, magic, number, and we've assigned the value 0 to our variable guess. Okay? Now, these are two variables, and now we go into our loop. So we've got while, which initiates a count controlled loop. And then we have our condition. So this is a condition, and the condition is either true or false. The condition is checked and must be true for the loop to run. So at the moment, guess is holding the value 0, and magic number is holding the value 8. So they're not equal to each other. So this is true. And then underneath that, we have the instructions or block of code to be repeated. So we're repeating this instruction here. And what this is letting us do, it's letting the user guess a number. And the user is going to guess a number, and that's going to be assigned to guess. And then we're going to go back up and we're going to check. Is this condition true? Is this condition false? And this loop will keep looping. This loop will keep looping until this condition is false. And this condition will only be false when guess is not equal to magic number. So when guess is 8, we will then exit the loop and we'll print you got it right. This code is only executed when the condition is false. So let's actually take a look at how we would run that code in real life. So here's our code written up in Python. We've got our variable magic number, our variable guess, and we've assigned values to them before we enter our loop. And what I've done in this loop is I've actually guessed the few numbers. So I guessed 1, I guessed 3, I guessed 4, I guessed 8, and then I got it right. So let's see how that works. So this is just a simple trace table, which is a great way of seeing how the program's going to run. And I've got iterations there just so we can see how many times it's looping. I've got magic numbers so we can trace the value that's held in magic number. I've got guess so we can trace the values that are assigned to guess. And I've got condition, guess not equal to magic number, because I'm going to be checking if this is true or false. And finally, I've got output. So have we output this message? This is our main output because we've got print. So on the first iteration, or actually before I even iterate my code, I'm going to just mark magic number is 8 and guess is 0. So I haven't even looped once. Now I'm going to ask my question, is guess not equal to magic? And at this point, guess is not equal to magic, so my condition is true. And if my condition is true, I'm going to execute the code indented underneath my while loop. So on my first iteration, magic number is still 8 and guess is 1. Guess is 1. Guess is 1. So the user's input guess, and that means guess has changed now. So now I'm actually checking is 1 not equal to magic number. And if I take a look here, 1 is not equal to magic number, so our condition is true. So we're going to loop again. And on our second iteration, we guess the number 3. And notice how magic number doesn't change because I said magic number was 8 at the beginning. And I haven't changed it anywhere else. The only thing I'm changing is my guess because I'm letting my user input a new guess. This condition is still true because 3 is not equal to 8. So my user gets another turn. And on iteration 3, magic number is still 8 and it is not equal to 4. So my condition is true. So I'm going to loop again. Now, on my fourth iteration, I entered 8. And if I check my condition, and it gets a little bit wordy here, but 8 is not equal to 8. 8 is not equal to 8. So in other words, 8 is equal to 8, and my condition is actually false. So I can exit my loop, and I'm going to output, you got it right. So watch this video again. What you can even try and do is code this up yourself. Change the word 8, have a friend guess the number, and see how it works. And that's really how you get to grips with a while loop. While loops are really useful when you don't know how many times to repeat a block of code. So for example, you might have an alarm system and you want the user to enter the alarm code as many times as they like until they enter the right code. If you set a value so that the loop runs, it will run at least once. So if you look at our code here, it will run at least once because it's going to check that value. And just to leave you on this slide of how we use computational thinking to decompose and abstract a problem. Thank you so much for listening.